Hello and welcome to Dean Park Station. I've had quite a few requests as to how I've done my tarmacking and the technique that I used. And whilst I covered this within another video earlier in 2017, what I've decided to do is I've taken parts of that video, which was work on the caravan park, that showcased the technique that I used for doing the tarmacking, and I used the same technique here at the S&T training facility. So this video will take you through the step-by-step of what I did, what materials I used, and how I went about it. I hope you find it useful, and if you have any questions after watching the video, please do get in touch. Cheers! The next phase in the caravan park is to lay the tarmac road. This is going to be quite a worn, broken down tarmac road by the time I'm finished with it, hopefully. But what I've used is the paving tape from Woodland Scenics from the road system, and I've just taped the edges of the road there where I've marked them onto the baseboard. I'm now going to mix up some Smooth It plaster with some water, and I'm going to cover it in here and then use a scraper just to scrape the excess off and let it dry. I've now mixed the Smooth It plaster and I'm just applying it to the area where the road will be, and it's 2 to 1 part mix, 2 plaster to 1 part water, and giving a thorough mix to allow it to react. And I'm just going to put it in here, trying to keep it in the confines of the tape. I've put a bit of MDF at the back there just to stop the back seam getting covered in plaster and dribbling down the gap. Okay, it's sitting a bit proud there, which is what it should do apparently. I've mixed too much plaster, but I always do. And then you get this piece of card, or plastic card, which is conveniently supplied, and you just smooth it off, wiping the excess from the area. You see the level of the tape. If you've not got enough, you just put some more in and just smooth it off. I'll just patch up a wee bit at the back there. I could have removed the back seam, but this really matters. Don't worry about it being perfect, because you'll be sanding it down. Plus there's no such thing as the perfect surface on a tarmac road, is there? So I'll keep working away at that and let it dry. And what I've done with this road surface is that when you have the tape down the sides, and you take it off, it leaves a nice sharp clean edge. This is a kind of tarmac road that's not been, shall we say, relaid in quite some time. I've put a camber on it when I've sanded it, and I've taken off the step, if you like, so it kind of almost brushes into the baseboard. It's still obviously sitting a bit proud, and I had a couple of imperfections in the Smooth It plaster. I've deliberately left them because that gives small potholes which I'm going to add to. So it's been smoothed out, and not too much, because what tarmac is 100% level. And what I did for that is I just took some very fine, this is 1200 wet and dry finishing paper. I just sanded it, and then obviously you can see the dust that's created by it round about. I just brushed it off with my fingers. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mix the paint to put the first coat onto the tarmac. Now if you know my layout already, you'll know I've got a level crossing with a road bridge going over the railway and a ramp and a car park at the station. I wanted that to look like it had been recently laid, fresh, crisp tarmac. With this one, because it's not a main road and it's not been relayed in some time, I'm wanting to try and give the impression a bit more a bit more weathered and run down. Okay, so I'm going to try this. This is the first me trying it personally, so I'll see how it turns out. But that's what I'm hoping to do. As I said to you, there were some imperfections in the road surface, but what I'm doing now is I'm adding more using just a wee miniature flathead screwdriver. I'm just trying to dig out little potholes, different. Don't make it round, or perfect shapes, because potholes aren't perfect in every sense. Okay, come from different angles. And this will just allow that variation in the tarmac when you paint it and you start to weather it. You don't want craters, but you can probably see there's two. Right, and I may put another one down here somewhere. And that's all really I'm looking to do, maybe another one here. I'm not looking, it's not the surface of the moon, it's not covering craters. It's just got, imperfections. And then obviously I'm going to apply the paint. What I've done here is I've taken some Woodland Scenics asphalt paint, and it's a water-based, water-soluble, and there's the code there. And I've also taken some concrete top coat, again from Woodland Scenics. I got this in a road building kit, but you can get them in the same size as that. And I've just put in a small amount of the concrete to lift the colour of the black to a kind of dark grey. I'm just going to take a 1-inch brush here, and I'm going to paint on the tarmac. You don't have to be too neat, because obviously the rest of the stuff's going to get blended in with scenic material. And this is just the first coat. I'm going to keep going till I've done it all, and then obviously wait for it to dry. That's me going over the road now with 2 coats of the asphalt with a touch of concrete, just to lighten it a touch. You can see by the outer left there, the first coat was darker and the second coat was slightly lighter grey. If you look at the main road surface, not a lot, but just I've just tried to vary it a little bit, and you can probably see the potholes better now that the grey has gone in. Again, I'm not looking for the massive craters. It's not been a newly laid bit of tarmac. It's got a bit of wear and tear to it. And the next stage will bring out the road surface even more. Okay, as you can see here, the road's now dried and it's a very dark grey. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 1200 grit wet and dry, and I'm just going to weather it ever so slightly to take that kind of black grey sheen. What you'll see is that actually highlights the potholes, because obviously I'm not sanding those, because I'm just lightly rubbing it across the surface to distress the tarmac ever so slightly. Okay, going with the grain of the road. There we go. Now I'm going to just take the dust off that. It darkens ever so slightly again. It even blends it in almost. Takes the streaks out of it in some places. And there I've got a road surface that I can now add the next section, or the next process to. Okay, what I'm doing now is I've mixed a little Woodland Scenics black pigment, C1220, with water. It's very a thin mix. I'm not wanting it too dark, and I've got this kind of sponge brush, if you like, and I'm just going to add a little bit of the black pigment to that. It's just to kind of give it a wash, and I'm really going to first focus on the potholes, and just give it a very light wash of that. And what that does is it kind of highlights the potholes a wee bit more as well, but I'm not finished with the potholes. Just back and forth, working it in. Any excess on the brush that you don't want, just take a paper towel or whatever, dab it off. And I'm just putting a little wash on here. A wee bit more around the potholes, just so let them sink in to the potholes. Again, to highlight them. And it's a thin wash, so it will dissipate as it dries. So I'll let that dry. Once again, I've mixed up far too much, but there's a tiny bit of black pigment in there with the water. And by the way, these pots here, if you ever buy an Oxford die-cast car or van or something, keep the container. They're great for mixing up paints and stuff. So that's where I get these. I'll let that dry and we'll come back to the next step. The black wash is now dried, and it's dried slightly darker in the potholes due to the amount that I put in the potholes, and it gives them more of an appearance of depth. The next stage is adding the kind of chippings to the top of the road. Now, back in the day when they used to do tarmac roads, they used to come along afterwards and put a dose of grey chips down, and when you drove over them for weeks, you would be getting the chips kind of springing into your wheel arch of your car, and it would sound pretty noisy until the chips had worn down. What I'm going to try and do here is apply that kind of effect, and what I've done is I've used the concrete pigments and the tarmac pigments from Wood and Scenic. So I've mixed them in kind of two-thirds concrete, one-third tarmac pigment to give this kind of grey. And then what I've done is I've got one of these yellow scouring sponges that you get for your pots and pans and stuff, the ones with the green scourer attached. I've just ripped that off, and I've used a rubber bands to give it a kind of bung effect here, so I've got a kind of round surface. I've dipped it in the paint, okay, and then I've taken most of it off, which I'm doing now, onto a piece of paper, just to almost leave it, not dry, but very lightly loaded. And then what I'm going to do is I'm very lightly going to work over the surface of the tarmac. Don't press too hard. Now, because this sponge is just hitting the surface, the hope is that it doesn't go into the potholes as much. Now, I'm just going to work away at this to get the desired effect. If I need to get more paint on the sponge, I'll just load it up again. You're almost kind of dry sponging it. Let's bounce it off the road. I'll keep working away at this, and I'll come back when it's done. That's me finished with the dabbing on of the grey pigments, and as you can see there, I've got quite a variation, as would be the case with the real tarmac surface. The potholes have escaped the dabbing, which is just what I wanted, so they're highlighted even more, which is really good. It gives it more depth, and you might be able to notice slightly different shades in the grey. One, it's still drying, and two, I varied the tones by adding a little bit of concrete or adding a little bit of more tarmac colour, just to vary the weathering on the concrete, so it just wasn't all the same speckled grey. So that's the kind of outcome I was looking for. I say with the grey chippings on top of the blacker tar underneath. You can see round about I've been obviously dabbing my sponge to take off the excess paint. So I'll leave that to dry now, and really that's all I really want to do on this road. I could go and add patches that have been dug up and relayed by masking a bit of card, and then maybe getting a darker colour grey and dabbing that on, but I feel that I've achieved what I wanted to achieve with this kind of tarmac surface. If you've enjoyed this video, why don't you check out one of my earlier videos? Or if you want to see something from the Network South East region, click on Richard from Everard Junction's video. The link will be at the right hand side of the screen.